There are mornings when the light falls into the room as if it's unsure of itself, soft, hesitant, almost afraid to disturb anything. And there are evenings when the air grows heavy, still, unmoving. Somewhere between those hours, a quiet part of you slips away, unnoticed, unannounced, almost relieved to vanish for a while. There is a certain kind of tiredness that doesn't raise its voice. It just settles in the bones, like a long, unspoken ache, and you begin the day already carrying it. You wake before your alarm, not because you're rested, but because your body has memorized the weight of another demanding day. Grey light fills the room. Not quite morning, not quite night, just that muted in-between that mirrors the way you've been moving through your own life. You sit at the edge of the bed for a while, feeling the minutes gather around your feet. Everything is still. Everything is slow. Sometimes, the quiet is so full it feels like a kind of pressure. In the kitchen, steam rises from your cup in thin, fragile ribbons. It drifts upward as if the air itself is exhausted. Even the taste feels dull, as if your senses have turned themselves down to survive the day. There's an emptiness hidden in these small moments, a quiet kind that leaves fingerprints on everything it touches. You step outside, and the day presses against you before you've taken your first breath. Conversations float past. Words land near you but never quite reach you. You nod. You answer softly. You perform the outline of yourself. Inside, you're drifting somewhere far from the surface of your own life. Some people disappear not because they want to, but because they're tired of carrying everything alone. No one notices the distance, because disappearing is something you've learned to do with remarkable quietness. By evening, you slip back into silence, not because silence heals you, but because it asks for nothing. In that stillness, the parts of you that held themselves together all day begin to loosen and fade into a version of you no one else ever sees. People assume disappearing is a choice. They think it's avoidance or moodiness or a lack of effort. But disappearing is often what happens when you've carried too much for too long, and your mind begins dimming its own signals just to cope. There is a certain kind of person who fades when overwhelmed. Not because they don't care, but because they care too deeply. They notice everything, every shift in tone, every change in atmosphere, every small tension in the air. You absorb things, often without meaning to, and eventually, the holding becomes too heavy. So disappearing becomes a reflex, a soft shutting down, a quiet retreat meant to protect the rawest parts of you. It isn't failure, it isn't weakness. It's simply the mind saying, "This is too much right now." And there is no shame in that. This pattern rarely begins in adulthood. It's shaped by echoes from years you barely remember. Childhood teaches you how to survive the emotional weather around you. You learned to read the room before you learned to read your own needs. You softened your presence when things felt unstable. You shrank inside when emotions grew too loud. Withdrawing kept you safe, or invisible, or simply out of the way. Maybe the people around you were unpredictable. Maybe silence was expected. Maybe misunderstanding became familiar. Whatever the reason, your nervous system adapted. It built a blueprint. When overwhelmed, reduce the signal, dim the emotional light, retreat just enough to survive. You sensed moods instantly because not sensing them once meant danger. You avoided conflict because even mild tension felt too sharp for a young heart. You carried your feelings quietly because there was nowhere for them to land. And now, as an adult, the world sees your calmness, your gentleness, your steady grace. But they don't see the cost. Silence becomes a shelter when the world feels too sharp. What makes this more complicated is that the same strategies that once protected you now activate automatically, even when you're safe, even when no one is asking anything of you. Old instincts move before new understanding can catch up. When overwhelm builds, the mind begins closing doors quietly. You withdraw a little, then a little more. Your reactions shrink. Your voice softens. You make yourself smaller in conversations, almost without noticing. You numb the edges of your feelings so they don't spill. You overthink in circles, hoping one perfect thought will steady the ground beneath you. It becomes a soft, disappearing act, a fading at the edges of your own life. Then comes the loop. Protection leads to isolation. Isolation leads to ache. Ache makes you feel exposed. Feeling exposed makes you protect yourself even more. And around you go, each rotation tightening the belief that disappearing is safer than staying present. You monitor yourself constantly. You check your tone, your face, your posture, your presence. It's tiring, this internal surveillance, but something in you believes the alternative is losing control. Numbness follows, not a cold absence, but a muted softening, as though every feeling is wrapped in heavy blankets. It keeps you functioning, but it steals the warmth. Inside, everything grows louder, even as your outer life grows quieter. You rehearse conversations that will never happen. You replay moments where you felt misunderstood. You wonder if people think you've changed, or simply disappeared. Time behaves strangely here. Hours blur, moments stretch. The fog thickens around your thoughts. Emotional numbness settles like a thin frost, muting the colors of your day. You want rest, yet resting feels like guilt. You want connection, yet connection feels too bright, too sharp, against a tired mind. You want to feel alive, but you settle for feeling less. And so the paradox forms. The space you retreat into becomes both refuge and prison. It protects you from the world, but it separates you from the warmth you crave. Sometimes you don't resent the silence, but you wish it didn't cling so tightly. People rarely see the depth beneath your quietness. They see softness, calmness, restraint, but not the sensitivity beneath it, not the emotional intelligence that grows in the shadows you rarely speak about. You notice things others overlook. A shift in the air, the drop in someone's shoulders, the exhausted brightness behind a smile. You understand moods without needing words. You feel the emotional temperature of a room before anyone speaks. This depth is both burden and gift. Burden because it overwhelms you. Gift because it allows you to understand others in ways they may never realize. Some people never show their joy because someone once broke it. Your sensitivity doesn't ask for attention. It moves quietly, even when you feel too fragile to speak. Yet within this fragility, there is a steady kind of strength, a softness that doesn't shatter, a depth that doesn't disappear, even when you do. And then there is the world, fast, loud, overstimulating, hyper-connected, yet strangely hollow. Notifications tug at your attention. Screens glow with curated lives. Expectations stack without pause. Corporate life sharpens everything. Metrics, deadlines, performances. A constant need to stay visible, productive, fine, even when you're dimming inside. Comparison slices into the little energy you have left. Others look bright. You feel faint. You tell yourself to keep up, but your body whispers, I can't. In a world running at full speed, people like you slip into the background first. Not because you're incapable, but because you're exhausted. At home, the air feels different. Nights stretch long, weekends drift without color. Light arrives thin and washed out. Old memories glow warmer than the present, because they still carry texture and meaning. You move from room to room, listening to the hum of appliances, a soft, mechanical heartbeat. The couch remembers your shape, the bed remembers your weight. Home becomes sanctuary. and confinement, a place where you can disappear without explanation, and where loneliness settles into your shadow. Somewhere inside all this, a small truth remains. It flickers in unexpected moments. A warm slant of light, a gentle voice, a memory that still holds softness. You don't disappear because you're broken. You disappear because you're exhausted. You're not withdrawing out of failure. You're withdrawing because the world has been too loud for too long. Because your heart learned to protect itself in the only way it knew how. There is tenderness in acknowledging this, a quiet peace in saying, "This is where I am." No forcing, no fixing, just noticing. Disappearing isn't failure, it's fatigue, it's survival. It's the mind dimming the lights so it can breathe again. You're overwhelmed, not broken. And nothing about your quietness makes you any less whole.